The word mummy was derived from the Persian, Arabic word mumia, which means tar or bitumen, as the ancient Arabs initially thought that the weirdly wrapped bodies found from their ancient tombs were covered in the sticky black substance. However, the ancient Egyptians not only mummified humans, but also animals in the millions. From sacrifices made to the gods to pets buried together with their owners, here are 15 strange mummy finds that will totally change your perception of ancient Egypt. How they lived, how they died, and how they were buried. Number 15. The hawk that was something else. In 2018, the Maidstone Museum in England scanned a human mummy. While the machine was running, curiosity took hold. Why not scan a few animal mummies too? One specimen caught their attention, a beautifully wrapped hawk, thought to be an ancient pet. Its linen bindings were covered with elegant hawk designs, and for years, no one questioned it. But the scan exposed a haunting twist. The skeleton wasn't avian. At first it resembled a small primate, but as the details emerged, the truth became heartbreaking. Inside the hawk's wrappings was a severely malformed human infant. The child had anencephaly, which is a very bad condition where the brain fails to develop, along with a cleft palate, missing skull bones, and a spine that never sealed. Strangely, he wasn't buried in a pot, the typical costume for infants in ancient Egypt. Instead, someone mummified him with great care, and the reasons remain totally unknown. Number 14. The millions of ibis mummies. The ibis cult thrived during the Roman and Ptolemaic eras, worshipping Thoth, the deity of wisdom and writing. In 2015, carbon dating confirmed that the Egyptian ibis mummies were created between 450 and 250 BC. What's truly staggering isn't just the age, it's the numbers. Saqqara alone held nearly 500,000 ibis mummies, with another estimated 10,000 added each year. And that's nothing compared to the 4 million found in Tuna El Gebel's catacombs. The embalming process was unsettlingly precise. Each bird's head and neck were twisted backward and folded onto the body, then coated in tar before being wrapped tightly in linen. But with mummification clearly scaled for mass production, many mummies turned out incomplete, missing bones, mixed-up remains, or makeshift fillers. Once preserved, the bodies were packed into clay jars, wooden boxes, or stone coffins. These mass sacrifices weren't just religious rituals, they were an industrialized operation that turned worship into a production line for the gods. Number 13. The numerous cat mummies. Let's be honest, ancient Egyptians were absolute cat people. Cats weren't just pets, they were symbols of divinity, closely tied to Bastet, the fierce feline goddess of war and home. During the Ptolemaic period, particularly around Beni Hassan and Thebes, cat mummification reached massive levels. Thousands of cat mummies have been unearthed in the Saqqara catacombs alone. Unfortunately, many of these animals were killed intentionally, strangled or had their necks broken for the sole purpose of ritual sacrifice. Their bodies were dried, stuffed with mud or sand, and wrapped in linen, often in a seated pose with paws tucked neatly beside them. The wealthiest families used ornate bronze or wooden sarcophagi, sometimes painting the linen with facial details and embedding obsidian or crystal eyes. Some mummies even contain fetal kittens hidden within adult cats. Over time, though, these practices became sloppier and less elaborate. What started as sacred reverence slowly evolved into rushed factory-style devotion. Number 12. Scarab beetles. In November 2018, archaeologists in Egypt uncovered something exceptionally rare: scarab beetle mummies. This stunning find included not just one, but several mummified beetles nestled among 7 tombs near the pyramid complex of King Userkaf, just south of Cairo. These weren't just old bugs, they were sealed with reverence inside beautifully carved limestone sarcophagi. One sarcophagus held 2 wrapped scarabs, still cloaked in protective linen. Another nearby tomb revealed even more beetle mummies in pristine condition, leaving the excavation team speechless. The tomb itself, dating back to Egypt's 5th dynasty, was a brand new discovery. Its vaulted lid and elaborate decorations untouched for millennia. Egypt's Antiquities Ministry declared the discovery extraordinary, and for good reason. Scarab beetle mummies are so rare that even seasoned archaeologists may never encounter one in their careers. These tiny creatures once symbolized rebirth and protection, and now, even in death, they're rewriting what we know about Egypt's most sacred creatures. Thank God these people are no more. Number 11. The lion mummies. In ancient Egypt, lions weren't just admired, they were legendary. Seen as the apex of power and protection, they symbolized both danger and divine authority. Pharaohs like Amenhotep III proved their might by slaying lions. He reportedly killed 102 within his first decade as ruler. Yet for centuries, only one mummified lion had ever been discovered, casting doubt on whether the practice was widespread. That changed in November 2019. During excavations in Saqqara, archaeologists led by Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities uncovered 5 more mummified lions, believed to be cubs, buried in the Bubastion necropolis, a tomb complex famous for feline burials. Each cub was about 3 feet long and around 8 months old at death. Alongside them were wooden and bronze statues of cats, snakes, and other creatures, all dating back to the 26th dynasty. We mean, how can they do that with these wild, big cats? Number 10. Saqqara's mummified cobras. Being a cobra in ancient Egypt was a dangerous gig. These venomous snakes were seen as sacred animals linked to Amun and Atum, symbols of rebirth due to their skin-shedding nature. But reverence didn't mean mercy. Archaeologists at Saqqara have unearthed tightly wrapped cobra mummies, many encased in bronze shrines or sacrificed in sacred cemeteries. At one site, Amara West, archaeologists even uncovered a shrine with an entire trail of snake burials, including hundreds of python skeletons, hinting at a snake-worshipping cult in Nubia. High-resolution 3D scans revealed gruesome details, spinal fractures from brutal killings. The cobras were likely held by the tail and violently whipped against hard surfaces until dead. Even more disturbing, their preserved bodies showed signs of dehydration and organ damage, including significant kidney failure. Resin was carefully placed inside their open jaws, perhaps to allow them to speak or breathe in the afterlife. Well, it's just heart and soul breaking. Number 9. Alex wasn't on keto. Roughly 2,200 years ago, an Egyptian man passed away, his name lost to time, but his profession engraved in eternity. Thanks to the coffin's inscriptions, we know he served as a priest. Nicknamed Alex by modern researchers, this mummy ended up at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, where scans revealed something unexpected. Alex lived like a modern-day couch potato, heavy on carbs, low on sunlight, and allergic to movement. Turns out sedentary living isn't just a 21st century problem. His diet and lack of activity led to severe heart disease and osteoporosis, so extreme that it crushed his height down to 5 feet. He was only around 30 to 40 years old when he died. Shockingly young for someone of elite status. His bones tell a story not just of ancient rituals, but of lifestyle consequences. Alex may have prayed for eternity, but he wasn't exactly living his best life before death caught up with him. All right, guys, now let's talk about Number 8. A pharaoh's hunting dog. In the Valley of the Kings, archaeologists discovered something unexpectedly touching: a mummified hunting dog belonging to a pharaoh. Though its wrappings had long since worn away, the animal's treatment spoke volumes. Spoiled in life, the dog likely dined on game meat from royal hunts and lounged in luxury. In death, it received a carefully prepared burial fit for royalty. Dogs in ancient Egypt weren't just companions, they were guardians, hunters, and even early versions of police animals. Popular breeds included the Basenji, Greyhound, and Saluki, all prized for their speed and loyalty. From the earliest dynasties, dogs were connected to the divine. Anubis, the god of embalming and the afterlife, was often portrayed as a jackal, or possibly a black desert dog. Because these animals roamed burial grounds, Egyptians viewed them as spiritual protectors. What do you think about it? Are Egyptians doing good things? Number 7. Mummified bulls. The Apis bull cult, which emerged around 800 BC, stands as the earliest Egyptian animal cult verified through archaeology. It was also the most revered. The Apis bull symbolized divine strength, fertility, and creation, embodying both Osiris and Ptah, the creator gods. During its life, each sacred bull lived in luxury, housed in a dedicated shrine and pampered daily. Priests treated its movements as divine messages, even consulting the bull for oracles. These bulls typically died naturally unless they reached 28. Then they were ritually sacrificed. When an Apis bull died, national mourning followed. The burial process was no less elaborate. Embalming involved drying the massive body with natron, stuffing it with sand, and wrapping it in multiple layers of linen. Artificial eyes and a sculpted ceramic head were added to preserve its likeness. Immense embalming tables, engraved and engineered with drainage channels, have been uncovered in Memphis, the cult's spiritual center. These bulls were not just animals, they were gods in flesh. Number 6. Mummified baboons. In ancient Egypt, baboons were sacred avatars of Thoth. Well, they believed he was the moon god and guardian of knowledge. Their importance is carved into canopic jars and temple art, but behind the divine symbolism lies a darker reality. Around 400 baboon mummies were found in the Saqqara catacombs, each buried in wooden chests and embalmed using layers of plaster. They weren't pets or companions, they were products of purpose. Most were bred in captivity and met violent ends, showing signs of broken limbs, severe bone infections, and extreme vitamin D deficiency. Their skeletons tell stories of malnutrition, confinement, and calculated sacrifice. While cat and ibis mummies numbered in the millions, baboons were rarer but no less vital to ancient belief systems. Their suffering was overlooked in favor of ritual, their lives cut short for divine offerings. What the gods demanded, the priests delivered, no matter the cost to flesh and bone. Number 5. The crocodile mummy. To the ancient Egyptians, crocodiles weren't just fearsome beasts, they were divine. Representing the crocodile god Sobek, these predators were honored in death. Hundreds, possibly thousands, were carefully mummified as religious offerings. But their reverence came at a brutal cost. Crocodiles were bred in captivity for sacrifice, and wild ones were actively hunted, an incredibly risky pursuit. Recently, researchers in France confirmed this dangerous practice when they conducted a virtual necropsy on a crocodile mummy housed at the Musée des Confluences in Lyon. What they found was startling: a massive skull fracture. It was the first concrete evidence that ancient Egyptians hunted wild crocs, not just bred them. The fracture, likely caused by a blow to the head, revealed a hidden chapter of ancient ritual. the pursuit of deadly beasts in service of the gods. So now the question is, where are those false gods? Number 4. An Egyptian queen's pet gazelle. One of the most unusual animal mummies ever discovered belonged to a royal gazelle, believed to have been the beloved companion of Queen Isatemkeb-D, who lived between 1070 to 945 BC. This pampered creature followed its queen into the afterlife around 945 BC, swathed in finely woven linen trimmed in soft blue and laid gently in a handcrafted wooden coffin. The casket, now housed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, was made from multiple sycamore panels, held together by pivoted joints. Its exterior was coated in black paint, while the inside was painted a pristine white, all sealed under a thick layer of alabaster plaster. The gazelle's organs were carefully removed, and the body was packed with fine sand to preserve its graceful shape. Number 3. A Mose-Inhapi mummy. In 1881, the mummy of Ahmose-Inhapi was discovered in Deir el-Bahari, tucked inside the outer coffin of Lady Rai, nurse to Queen Ahmose Nefertari. Gaston Maspero unwrapped Inhapi's body on June 26, 1886, revealing a woman of strong build with features resembling her royal brother. Her burial likely took place toward the end of Ahmose-Fer's reign. The preservation is remarkable. A floral garland still rested around her neck, and her arms lay straight at her sides. Interestingly, her dark brown skin showed no trace of salt damage, hinting that her embalming may have differed from typical methods of the time. A clean incision on her left side points to the removal of internal organs, likely dried with natron. Aromatic wood powder had been sprinkled over her body before it was wrapped in linen soaked with resin. It wasn't just embalming, it was art. Inhapi's preservation reflects a transitional moment in ancient Egypt's mummification history. Number 2. Merneptah mummy. Merneptah, a ruler during Egypt's 19th dynasty, battled age-related diseases like arthritis and atherosclerosis before passing away as an elderly man. Though originally entombed in KV8 in the Valley of the Kings, his mummy wasn't found there. In 1898, it was uncovered with 18 others in a hidden cache inside Amenhotep II's tomb. His remains were eventually moved to Cairo and unwrapped on July 8, 1907. Examiner Grafton Elliott Smith noted Merneptah stood roughly 5 feet 6 inches and was mostly bald, with white tufts at the temples and sparse facial hair. While his face bore similarities to Ramesses II, his skull shape and measurements more closely resembled his grandfather, Seti I. In 1980, X-ray studies of royal mummies from the New Kingdom found striking links between the 19th and 20th dynasties and Mesolithic Nubian traits. Other markers suggested ties to modern Levantine populations. In 2021, his remains were proudly paraded to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in the Pharaoh's Golden Parade. Number 1. Takabuti's death solved. Takabuti was the first Egyptian mummy to make her way to Ireland, arriving in 1834. Her coffin's hieroglyphics painted a brief life, the daughter of a priest, married, and in her 20s when she died around 660 BC. But for centuries, the cause of her early death remained a blank page. That changed in recent years when scientists used DNA testing and CT scans to dig deeper. Her genetic profile revealed surprising European ancestry, an unexpected twist for an Egyptian noblewoman. Even more shocking, the scans exposed the brutal truth. Takabuti had been stabbed to death from behind. The fatal attack was swift and violent. Alongside that grim discovery were 2 rare physical anomalies, an extra tooth and an additional vertebra. While these quirks didn't lead to her death, they made her biological story even more unique. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.